Welcome to Let's Talk Travel with George and Deanna on St. Patrick's Day. Hang on, honey. Hang on. Yes, let's admire for just a moment the pouring of a Guinness when we visited with one of our groups to Ireland. You remember this?
Oh my gosh. And the rooftop bar there.
The rooftop bar
was fantastic. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Views were spectacular. So I'm not a big beer drinker, but I know other people are, and yeah, they loved it.
I just want to get the last little bit, just back to that video for just a... All right, I think that's
there you go.
We're talking spring break, and we're talking cruising with a couple of cruising experts. A Master of Adventure, I think, is his official title with Royal Caribbean, and we'll talk with them in just a very few minutes. They're our special guest for tonight. We have lots of great information, and they have some amazing hacks. If you love cruising, they have 3 or 4 hacks that I had never heard of that you'll want to hear. That's all coming up.
Gadget Girl took note, by the way.
Yeah.
Gadget Girl took big note.
Good to know that.
Big notes.
Good evening. I am George. That is Deanna. And we are Lindsay Adventures. And we love talking travel. And tonight on our travel news headlines, travel news headlines. It's all about spring break. We wanted to cover some stuff on spring break. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, I don't have spring break age kids anymore. You may have grandkids, but Deanna has something for us because you're saying that spring break.
It's not just for kids anymore. First off, spring break, not just for kids anymore. More adults, more empty nesters are getting out on their own. Spring is just a wonderful time to travel, break or not. It's a good time to get out. The weather's cleared. Everybody should enjoy it. It's, think less party scene, less beach blanket bingo, and more intentional travel. So yeah.
Okay. So if it's not just for the kids anymore, I mean, what are we talking about? You said it's not beach blanket bingo. What is it?
It's cultural immersion. It's food and wine. I mean, it's all those nice things. It's giving yourself the chance to get out of your normal routine, get out, break away, go do something a little different. If that's in a different location, go for it.
You know, we've talked about that, and I think a lot of people, like, you grow up and you take spring break in high school or you take spring break in college, and then you get into the real world, as we like to call it, and it's like, man, I wish we could take spring break. And then you have kids, and it's like, I wish we could afford to take spring break. But you're saying this is a little more of intentional travel?
Intentional.
Like just making it your own spring break kind of thing?
Right. Make it. What is it that you want out of your spring break? Do you want to learn something? Do you want to just relax? Do you want to experience something new? Think what you want, and not so much, I should go to the beach because it's spring break and that's where everybody goes. Think outside the box.
This has been a big thing. You and I talked to a friend of ours who was doing a spring break trip. That's what got us thinking about this. And they were going on a wellness retreat. Not exactly what you think about when you think about spring break.
But, you come out of the winter doldrums, you put on maybe a few extra pounds from Christmas time. You'd like to look a little bit nicer. Go and take care of yourself for a week or 10 days, go and really deep dive into that renewal feeling,
But my question, and I can hear, by the way, thanks to a lot of people popping in with their questions and comments. By the way, give us your best spring break memory in the comments, okay? Let us know your best spring break memory that you can share, okay, on a public platform.
A family show.
On a family show. Let us know yours. But the question I think a lot of people are going to have, Deanna, is if spring break has grown up, isn't it crowded? Isn't it busy to travel at spring break time?
It is. It is going to be busy. But because you're an adult, you can go when you want to. You are not tied to that school schedule. So look for the better deals. Think about a little bit off week. If you want to leave on a Tuesday and come back the following Monday, that's still a week. You can still do that. You don't have to travel on Fridays and Sundays anymore. Also think about slowing down your travel. Don't try and hit 5 different locations in your week, go to 1 or 2, or just go one place and really, really immerse yourself in that area. Make sure you're prepared. There's going to be weather disruptions. Get that airline app. We've talked about this a number of times. Make sure you're aware of what's going on, and pay attention to all the announcements that happen. But really, like I said, the airport is going to be your worst part of your trip. Just plan for it, move through it, and go on.
All right. Number 2 on our travel news headlines tonight on Let's Talk Travel with George and Deanna is that airport experience, the airline experience Deanna was just talking about. TSA lines, you all have seen the news about this. I think some of it is to kind of scare you a little bit and everything, but we know it's real. Right now, it hasn't hit like the huge airports, but some of those secondary airports are finding those TSA delays. And I'm going to go back to something we talked about a few weeks ago, and that is a new program called the TSA Touchless ID. Right. Now, you don't do it through the TSA app. And by the way, TSA app is not being updated right now. So don't use it for how long the lines are at airports, everything like that. Use your airport or your airline app for that stuff, especially right now during this partial shutdown kind of thing. But here's the way touchless ID works. It works through your loyalty program. If you're a United customer, you can do it on the United app. If you're an American customer, you can do it on the American app. Southwest, same thing. It's actually pretty simple to do. And if you need some steps or you need some of the exact steps on how to do that, let us know. You'll need your ID, your passport, especially if you're going to be traveling internationally, and you need to have a known traveler number, which means you have that TSA pre-check. Right. If you do that, here's the great part about it. If you do that, when you get to the airport, even if there's a long line, you can go to the touchless ID line and get through so much quicker. That has been the hack on all of the airline websites that we follow over the last couple of weeks, is to get this touchless ID done. And it really isn't difficult to do at all, especially if you have the app and especially if your TSA pre-check is down. And by the way, my only political comment, figure it out and get TSA funded. Okay, let's
pay
do
the
this.
people.
It's not hard.
Pay the people who are working. That's what I think.
All right. So tonight we have a couple of special guests that I think you're going to enjoy. It's a radio guy, very talented radio host who has a beautiful wife, and they decide to start a travel business. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It sounds familiar.
It's because we share a lot in common with these two people, some great friends of ours who are absolute experts when it comes to cruising. So if you're thinking of cruising for spring break last minute, or you're thinking of cruising this summer or fall, they're going to be able to help you. Their names are Christy and Mark Buckles, and they are here tonight. Their website is yourglobalgetaway.com. That's where you'll find all the information about cruising that they have. And again, very, very well known in the Royal Caribbean community. And I'm just going to start it out. Mark, Christy, thank you for being on. But I always like to start with some really big information our watchers and listeners can use. Tell me, what is the hottest thing right now when it comes to cruising?
I have a news flash that I just learned from Royal Caribbean a couple of days ago, and it ties the entertainment world together and the cruising world and the travel sector. Legend of the Seas, which will set sail in July in the Mediterranean, will have America's Got Talent on board. So you'll be able to compete among like 7,000 passengers. They will proclaim a winner on the cruise, and then you get an opportunity to make it to the television show. And so you might get to meet Simon Cowell someday. So Royal Caribbean and Fremantle Media now have a partnership agreement for America's Got Talent.
Who knew that you could take to the high seas and wind up on a talent show and maybe get that record contract or that TV deal? That's awesome. Christy, I wanted to back up just a little bit and talk about, we mentioned this just a second ago, radio guy and radio wife host. You all do a show together on the radio, and now all of a sudden you're doing cruising and travel together. How did that start?
Well, so we've been traveling and cruising together longer than we've been doing the radio show. So, I mean, I don't, so I do that definitely came first. And then the show kind of fell in place afterward. I was a little late to the show. He's been doing the show much longer than myself.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, this is something that Deanna and I have experienced, and that is not only the marriage, but marrying the career, if you will, and you're doing it twice with travel and then also with the radio.
Well, we're much newer at this than you all are, at least when it comes to the travel sector. But we were in Clearwater last spring, and we had just done a spur of the moment trip, which we rarely do, but a long weekend. We got away, and we were just spending some time on the beach together. And I told her that I had had a thought recently, and she said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, it occurs to me that in all of our years of travel, I've never used a travel advisor, a travel agent, or a consultant. And I think that might be because I would be really good at it. And I think that I like to plan travel about as much as I like to travel. And she knows that I'm always planning a trip on the way home from a trip. And so we said, with the resources that we have, we've got through 40 years in radio and clients and friends and audiences, it just made really good sense for us. And so we're excited about it.
Crusie, what's been the reaction that you've gotten from people as you all talk to them about travel and it being something relatively new that you all do?
I enjoy being able to share with others about Mark, because this is something that he loves to do so much. And radio is fun and all of that, but like he said, he's always planning the next trip. So it's very nice for me to share with people and to help people, because people are somewhat disgruntled when they try to plan it themselves, and I like to be able to say, you're in good hands. Here you go. You can have my husband. You are in good hands. So that's nice.
So control freak is what I'm hearing, Mark. Is that Christy's like, I don't.
I just like things
detail oriented.
I just like things a certain way.
There you go. Like things a certain way. I love that. So tell me about some of the trips that you all have done and some of the trips that you all are planning as you've launched into this.
Well, most recently, we spent a week on Symphony of the Seas. We went down to Miami and spent a couple of days on Miami Beach. And then we flew out the day before the ice storm came in. And so we were, it was pre-planned, but it was fortuitous that we were getting out of town. And so we spent a week in the Caribbean, went down to Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic, and then came home back to Miami on February the 1st. We've got a trip to the Biltmore planned for spring break. I'm just going to do a couple of days away there. We're going to spend America's 250th birthday at Disney World this summer. Mm-hmm. And then Christy and I have a trip to Rome and a Mediterranean cruise at the end of the year. And then we always spend, a week on the beach at fall break. And so I think that's our travel year in a nutshell. But we're using that as an opportunity then to, get other people involved and use our experiences to help create experiences for others.
Christy, is cruising something that you all gravitate to more than staying in a hotel? Do you like that style of travel?
It seems to be what we gravitate toward. I do enjoy, being able, you have everything that you need. You have everything that you want. You have, it's very diverse, yet you get the ports to stop and look around and do. Now, that being said, as much as I enjoy a cruise, I am very much a stay on an island, I love the Latin culture. So to be able to have a few more days here and there, I also enjoy that as well. But a cruise is pretty much everything you can ask for. So
yeah. I always tell people too, you brought up a really good point there, that if you have the availability to go in that day or two early and get to know, again, the place you're leaving out of, or spend a couple of days at the end of the trip, the pre or post extension is something we always talk about. And again, not everybody can do that. they don't have the time off or whatever. But if you have that opportunity and the resources, we always talk about, what a great thing that is. Now, our second camera wasn't working, so Deanna can't be on camera while we're doing this. I guess I could march her around and bring her on this camera, but she did want me to ask, what is like the one thing that you would tell people or that people forget when they go on a cruise? What's that one thing to pack?
For me, I would say hook magnets, because every surface in your cabin is metal, and so your storage space is limited. So that means you have all these hooks, various places that you can hang your hat on, or so it frees up a lot of your space and a lot of your clutter by doing that. We use those a lot. And then chair bands or chair clips for your towels. The wind's always blowing at sea. The cruise lines don't provide them. So if you want to keep your towel on your lounger, you got the chair bands that you stretch over the top, or they do the gator clips as well. Those are two things that you must take on a cruise.
Yeah.
I've never heard of chair bands. Now we're not cruisers by nature. I mean, that's not something we do a lot. We've done it and we liked it. It's just not that. But I'd never heard of chair bands.
Just like a huge, like thicker rubber band type, and you just put them right over there, and they stay. They work well. But
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
if you added those, so something I think for me, I have a touch of misophonia. Earplugs. Earplugs are good, not just if you suffer from misophonia. Earplugs can help in all different types of situations. So that's one of the things I never leave home without. We had an extended cruise due to weather one year. We always pack extra medication. If you are on daily meds, don't just pack your 7-day planner or pill case of caddy of medicines. Pack a few extra just in case. You don't know how many nights you may end up at sea.
That's right. That's right. By the way, a pill planner or a medication case, as you said, Deanna made me get one of those a few years ago. Life-changing. I've never before done one of those, and now it's like I have to make sure that it's all filled and everything's ready. So it was a game changer for me.
There's one more that I would add that I think is very important, that is a hack that few people know about. The over-the-door shoe organizer. You don't put shoes in it, but you put it on the back of your cabin door, and it's your organizer for all your odds and ends that you want to stick. So whether it might be brochures or it might be your Yeti cup or whatever, they're cheap, they're inexpensive. You can buy them at, anywhere. Hang them on the back of your door. You've got more storage.
That's good stuff right there. That's really good stuff. So, all right. So go ahead, Crusie.
I have two more. You want two more?
Yeah.
Okay, so the pill caddy, ladies, you could put your earrings in those as well. That's always a nice little thing. And one other that I always try to do is I have a thin nylon, very lightweight backpack that I lay in the very bottom of my suitcase. So at the end of your trip, you've bought souvenirs that need to be wrapped up and placed in your suitcase, right? So you take all those extra dirty clothes, put them in that nylon bag. You have a bag that you can check at the airport.
Very good. All right. I love this. I know Deanna will take note on a few of those things for sure. So tell me about some cruises. You talked to Mark a little bit earlier about spring break, and you all are going to the Biltmore, I think you said, spring break time. So what are some other trips or cruises that are popular right now? You mentioned Disney. Is that a cruise, or is that more of the Disney experience in Orlando?
Well, it's interesting. The way we approach Disney is land-based, because we've always been a Disney family. So we would take the girls and we would spend family time together at Disney World, but then we would cruise alone. And so as we've become closer to empty nesters, we're spending less time at Disney, more time on cruises, because the kids are busy doing other things and with their own lives. But one of the most popular cruises right now is the Star of the Seas, is the largest cruise ship in the world until July, when Legend of the Seas hits. It's the second Icon class ship, and it has 6 pools. I think it has 7 slides. It's got 40 places to eat and drink. And they are doing a 7-night Eastern Caribbean itinerary out of Port Canaveral. It includes Perfect Day Coco Cay on day number 2, like your first stop. The morning you wake up, The first morning you wake up on board, you're going to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and then you'll spend time at sea for one day exploring the ship. Then you'll go to San Juan. We love San Juan. We've been there twice in the last year or so. Don't know if you know much about San Juan, but it's the only capital in the United States has a walled city, and it has the only Capitol building that looks out to sea. And so it's gorgeous. And then you'll go to St. Martin on day number 5. And we've been to St. Martin probably more than we've been to any other island in the Caribbean. You can go to the French side. There are plenty of beaches over at Orient Beach. Most recently, we went to the Carnival Museum, and not the cruise line, actual Carnival, where she got to wear a headdress and some of the carnival, right? And then we went to Mayho Beach. And if you don't know Mayho Beach, it's where the airplanes basically are landing right on top of your head.
I have heard of that. Yes.
It is worth the experience. So we would highly recommend. And then day 6 and 7 are a slow cruise back to Port Canaveral. It runs Sunday to Sunday. That itinerary is available all summer, and it starts at $18.31 per person. So pretty good.
Christy, how do they get a hold of you all? How do they get more information about what you all do?
Well, we're at Your Global Getaway, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, yourglobalgetaway.com. You can, direct connect with us online. Just give us a search and you'll be able to find us.
We'll put a link in, by the way, at tonight's show. We'll put a link in the comments. You can find all of the social media contacts for Mark and Christy, and also their website that you can get in touch with them, direct connect with them. Guys, thanks for being on with us tonight. We appreciate it. The absolute sweetest people in the world. Love them to death. So glad they could jump on with us tonight and talk a little cruising and some great hacks, some great tips if you or someone in the family is going to be cruising soon. All right, next week we're talking mental health travel. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. How to get over those first flight jitters.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the psychology that goes into travel. We have a couple of special guests that we will absolutely love for you to tune in and watch. Until then, that's going to wrap it up for tonight with another episode. Hopefully you found it helpful of Let's Talk Travel with George and Deanna.